Now then, new figures have revealed that more adults have watched online pornography in lockdown than have been tuning in to the news.
Well, it will come as a delight to our next guest, who's been the star of X-rated films for over 2 decades.
Miles Long, stage name, claims to have slept with 4,000 women during his career. He joins us now from Las Vegas.
Good morning,
Lovely
Miles.
to talk to you. Thank you for talking to us, Miles.
Good morning. How are you guys? I hear it's a little rainy over there.
Yeah. It is just a little on the rainy side, but we all pray for sun. Let's have a look at your credentials here. Adult film director, photographer, producer, cinematographer, actor, record label owner. You've won awards, 3 Halls of Fame, 10 awards, the 84 nominations, married 3 times, currently single. But all of that...
Making me blush, too, apparently.
All of that, I'm pretty sure that's hard to do. So all of that from quite a shy kid at school.
Yeah, it's true. You know, when I grew up, I was the shy, nerdy kid with, the bad haircut, and my parents came from very humble beginnings. So, I wasn't very successful meeting women. I wasn't very good in, being outgoing or being very extroverted. So when I graduated from college, I thought to myself, the best thing to do would be get a job that forced me to be better at those things. So I got a job as the head of promotions of the largest nightclub on the West Coast, the Sound Factory, San Francisco. And that really kind of forced me to get out of my shell, be better at talking with people, be better at talking to women who were way out of my league at the time, and be way better at dating. So, nothing works like repetition.
So you sort of established yourself there within this nightclub, and then you meet your first wife, and you form this sort of travelling dance act, and you're travelling all around the country, and eventually you get to Toronto, and it's here that you're offered to sort of step outside of your current work environment and enter the world of pornography. And that seems like quite a big stretch for most people. Why was that something that you considered?
Well, it was interesting. We had a feature dancing act, so she was a feature entertainer, and we got booked at gentlemen's clubs to perform, and I was her DJ, her MC, her licensed pyrotechnician in the United States and Canada. And we had a very elaborate stage act. If you think of a rock concert these days or a Kiss concert, I taught her how to trail fire across her body with 10 different torches, and we had a snow machine and pyrotechnics, and that stuff is great. But we were touring in Canada, and we were at the same club as a very famous contract star for Vivid, Diana Loren, very good friend of mine. And she saw our show and said, "You guys are really got an elaborate show. It's awesome, but how I get paid is because my brand name and my recognition is so much greater. I get paid more than you."
So,
because we have more people coming in to see me.
Which means that she then suggested that that you do get into the sort of movie industry, and I suppose really for something like that, the first time is actually going to be quite nerve-wracking. It must have helped that it was your wife.
Yeah, certainly that helps make things a little bit more comfortable, especially the first time out. But you have to remember, it isn't the current day where folks are trying to do stuff on their phones and webcams. So my first jump into the business is kind of a bit into the deep end, right? So you got a big elaborate crew with the lighting guys and trucks and cameras, and that was sort of the first entrance to where people started to explore the genre of POV, which is very different from a traditional film, right? It's a little more immersive. So they were trying to figure out how to do that, which tends to make things a very long day. And I guess I did pretty well, because they said, "Hey, you got an act for this. You ought to stick with this, and, we're going to get you some more work. You just stay right here."
Can I ask you, when you then go and, so obviously you're doing this as a couple, but when you then explain to your friends and family, I'm just thinking sort of your parents, for example, what was their reaction when you say, "Well, I've had a bit of a change in career and I'm now an adult entertainer porn star"?
Well, it's interesting because I think people find that their parents are a lot more forgiving than they expect at first, and my parents were consumers of that material. And so after a couple of years, we said, we probably want to tell our parents what's going on, just so they don't happen to open a random magazine or video and be surprised by it. So we went up to the Bay Area where I was from, right? It was a bit of a shock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
And so we took them out to dinner. And we said, hey, look, this is what we're doing, and we're not screwed up, and we're not on drugs. We got this business plan, and we want to save our money. And don't worry, everybody's tested, and we have a good time, and we work when we want to work with who we want to work with, and it's not so bad. And they said, well,
so
I guess, if you're having a good time,
as a good time,
go for it.
4,000 times, and so.
Yeah.
You say that figure you stopped counting a while ago, but I think probably one of the more important things is that you look at that statistic about more people watching porn than news during lockdown. We all found ourselves in this, this extraordinary and very, very strange world. If you were one of those people who that was the route you went down, especially if you were a younger person, isn't there a great worry that when lockdown is over and you can actually go out and meet people yourself, that you've got some sort of false idea of what sex is because you've been watching porn?
But I don't really know that just watching something makes you want to do that more. I mean, people watch car races. It doesn't mean they hop in their car and try and race other people all the time, or they watch a documentary on people flying planes. They don't try and hop in a plane and fly, right? Because really, it's a fantasy, right?
Except that they don't have a plane at their disposal necessarily, whereas having a sexual relationship with somebody is a normal part of human life. So actually, they're more likely to attempt those things or to think that that is the norm. I think there is a difference, actually.
I guess it just depends on what you think is normal and what you think is more fantasy, right? Because it's healthy to have fantasies, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to act them out. Maybe you just want to watch them. Maybe you just want to live vicariously through somebody else, which we see all the time. And it's not just adult content. It could be anything, right? So I think it just sort of depends.
With your, you're very successful, and you said, it's much more lucrative to be behind the camera. You noticed that the guys behind the camera were the ones who had the Lamborghinis, so you become that guy. But here you are with, with your business enterprises. You're doing very well. 3 wives down, single, a reputation obviously which is all over online. How do you find the person to settle down with? Do you want to eventually settle down?
I think generally speaking, most people do, and I think I've been by far a monogamous person when I'm settled down with somebody, but I think the secret is to never look too hard for it. I think if you look too hard for it, you have trouble finding it. So if you're really looking for the right person to spend the rest of your life with, the best thing to do is immerse yourself in the stuff you like to do and the hobbies that you're passionate with, so that you end up finding somebody who's like-minded and you can actually share your lives together. And that is what I think we all hope for.
Well, we hope that for you too.
Good luck, Miles.
Thanks for joining us today,
Thank you.
Miles. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.